we have the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body and mind. So there are 6 organs. So in these 6 organs are just looking for something. So they are always probes to the outside world. They are probing, they are looking for inputs. So these inputs are actually called nimitta. So images, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts, Dhamma. So rupa, sabda, gandha, rasa, pottabha, and Dhamma. Those are the 6 nimitta. So nimitta are actually external object. So when these external objects are taken into the mind, it is actually taken in through a form of nama rupa. So we have the rupa, saddha rupa, gandha rupa, rasa rupa, pottabha rupa, and mano rupa. So these are in the outside world. The rupa is the images. They are in the outside world. Saddha rupa are the sounds, the sound patterns. Rupa means the pattern. So there are image, or we can say color patterns. So if there's a color pattern, we call it an image. If there's a vibration pattern, we call it a sound. And if there's a particles in the air or dissolved or diffusing in the air, so we call it smell. So that is also a pattern. Various things, various combinations, various basic smell particles combined together to create complex smells. So that is also a pattern. So smell patterns. And there's this taste patterns. So we put salt, we put sugar, we put everything together and we create something. And that we call it a food. And these food items have unique taste. And that is a pattern. So that is sound, that is taste pattern. And we can say the same thing about touch as well. So the touch is a combination of temperature or heat as well as the roughness. So these two, when combined together, we have the touch pattern. So, and the thought patterns. So when various kinds of thoughts are put together, we get this thought pattern. It works in the same way. So these are actually objects that we perceive. And these objects are actually the nimitta. So this is nimitta. The group, when it is taken in, that means when the copies, the mental copy of the external item is taken in. So there are 6 doorways for that. So our eyes act as a doorway, ears act as a doorway, nose, tongue, body, and mind acts. Those 6 internal organs act as doorways for these external objects to get in. But they cannot get the original copy, which is in the outside world. Instead, they get a duplicate of that, the image of that, or the shadow of that original image. So we cannot take that image or the external solid image, the color pattern cannot be taken. But through the eyes, we get a mental copy of it, which is a shadow of the original form. So when that is done, that falls under rupa, not rupa, no, mano rupa. And this mano rupa has a vedana, sanya, sankara, vijnana component as well. So we have that now formed nama rupa from the nimitta. So nimitta was used to create nama rupa in this system, which is our body and mind, which we call a person or an individual or a worldly being or a sentient being, whatever we call it. This is the process that happens inside a living being. So whatever the living being, it can be a hellish animal, it can be a animal or a human or a deva or a brahma, whatever it is, this thing, this basic mechanism is always active. So they, depending on what objects they see, what nimitta comes to them, they, the thought process or the rupa vedana sanya sankhara vijnana are created, and based on the past experiences, avidya and various viewpoints or ideologies embedded in that system, they decide what to do and how to act, and everything is decided. It works. So that is nimitta. It's simply that's the difference. So the important question is this samadhi. So the wait, I'll read the next one. Is there same thing which is used in different context? I think that is clear. If that is not clear, you can put that on the chat so we can discuss more. So the most important question here is actually the animitta. What is animitta and what is Animitta Samadhi, and how we can practice that in life. So that is an important one. So you know what nimitta is now. So animitta, when a comes in front of something in when we are saying something in Pali, that's the opposite of what is meant is emphasized when a is added in front. So animitta means the opposite. So nimitta means various objects coming or entering through the internal organs. That is nimitta. So when we are looking for these objects, that is raga. So what we have as if we are if we are not arihat, we are not achieved the arihat state, or if we have not even opened up our eyes of wisdom, then we always think that there are important or valuable things in the outside world. Now there's this the insatiable or unsatisfactory journey to go towards or pursue through these items, external items, looking for something valuable. So you go after images, sounds, smells, taste, touches, and thoughts using these internal organs. And there's always a vexation in the internal organ system. And this vexatious internal organ system, the vexation was actually created with avijja. And this avijja, which has created the vexation, works in a way where the paticcasamuppada happens. And when this paticcasamuppada is working, these people or these individuals, what we see from the external perspective is they are they are going after these things. They are seeking these external objects. They are always deficient in their organ system towards these external objects. And what they are looking is something valuable. Valuable images, valuable sounds. This value is actually decided on the ideas and various viewpoints one would have in his mind. So based on that, this person goes after these images, sounds, and everything. So if we take that person as an example, that is not Animitta Samadhi. It is the quite opposite of that. So he always go after these external objects. That is nimitti. So he used this nimitta. But when somebody understands, these are actually of vexatious nature. these external items are vexatious in nature. So this is why in a Aditta Pariyaya Sutta, this was preached for this Jatila. The three Jatila brothers were the reason why this sutta was preached, and they were people, or they were actually clergy, or a form of monks that worshipped fire. So their ritual was to worship fire. God of fire was worshipped by these three brothers who had 1,000 disciples altogether. So Supreme Buddha did this sermon comparing these external organs and internal organs to fire. Now, fire has a vexatious nature. If you put your hand into an open fire, you would feel the vexatious nature. So it is, we say now, if we are hungry, if we want some food, we feel a burning sensation. It feels like it is on fire. Your stomach is on fire. If you have some disease or some kind of a pain, you call that body part is on fire. I feel very painful, and that is very vexatious. Those are the words we use. So fire has this nature of vexation. So he says, Supreme Buddha preaches, I is on fire. Images are on fire. Chakku Vijnana are on fire. Chakku Sampassa are on fire. Chakku Sampassaja Vedana are on fire. So everything is on fire. What is this fire? This fire is the raga, flames of raga. These are the 11 flames of suffering. Flames of raga, flames of dosa, flames of moha, flames of jati, flames of jara, flames of marana, flames of soka, flames of parideva, flames of dukkha, flames of domanassa, and flames of upayasa. These are 11 flames. So everything, I, images, then the chakku vijnana, which is the consciousness about seeing, when these external objects and internal I meet together, they create this consciousness which is called chakku vijnana. And the chakku sampassa. So you, with raga, dosa, moha, when someone touches, when someone feels this vijnana, or when someone using the salayatana, or the organ system, which is changed in a way that it became deficient towards the external organ, external item. Now it is a deficient internal organ, which we called ayatana. So when somebody touches with an ayatana, that is a avijja passa. Avijja passa is actually a sampassa. So that sampassa is also on fire. And the vedana that comes out of that sampassa is also a delusional vedana, which is a vexatious vedana, which is a vedana full of value, which is delusional value. There's no value in that sense. So these are the 5 things. So these 5 applies to the ear as well. So ear is on fire, sounds are on fire, sota vijnana are on fire, sota sampassa are on fire, sota sampassaja vedana are on fire. Everything is on fire. So you know the 11 flames. That is why they are on fire. So then the ghana Ghana also, that means the nose is on fire, smell is on fire, Ghana Vijnana is on fire, Ghana Sampasa is on fire, Ghana Sampasaja Vedana is on fire. Everything is on fire. And those are the 11 flames. And then there's the taste. Tongue is on fire, taste is on fire, Jivha Vijnana is on fire, Jivha Sampasa is on fire, Jivha Sampasaja Vedana is on fire. Fire is on fire, the body is on fire, then the touch is on fire, Kaya Vijnana is on fire, Kaya Sampasa is on fire, Kaya Sampasaja Vedana is on fire. Mind is on fire, thoughts are on fire. Then the Mano Vijnana is on fire, Mano Sampasa and Mano Sampasaja Vedana are on fire. Everything is on fire. So when everything is on fire, there are 30 items here. 5 into 6 becomes 30. So these 30 items are on fire. And you know these fires. Raga, dosa, moha, jati, jara, soka, parideva, dukkha, domana, supayasa are the fires. And when somebody knows about this, so what are we aiming for? What are we going to seek? We are going to seek these images, which are sound images, and in other words, those patterns. Rupa Rupa, Sabda Rupa, Gandha Rupa, Rasa Rupa, Pottabha Rupa, and Mano Rupa. We are going after these things, thinking that they are the opposite of fire. They are the bliss. They are the happiness. That's what we think. And with that wrong delusional conclusion, we go after these things. And that is the opposite of Animitta Samadhi. When somebody understands about the reality, he gets into this conclusion, there's nothing in this world to go after. Now that person is not going to approach or go after those objects. That is the ragakaya. In a way, it is ragakaya. That is nibbana. Ragakaya nibbana. So you are getting rid of raga. And this Animitta Samadhi is a way to do that. So Animitta Samadhi is a Samadhi that is practiced and that is well suitable for a person who has a organ system or a prioritized organ of Shraddha. So if you have a strong Shraddha Indriya, Shraddha organ, then what you understand more or what you like to, how you like to see the world is through anicca. So anicca is vexation. Another word for anicca is vexation. So why vexation is and anicca are the same thing? Because if something cannot be controlled according to your expectation, then that is vexatious. That becomes a problem. That always makes you suffer. That always makes you vexatious. So vexation is another word for anicca. Now, if you understand through the example of fire, if somebody starts to see these external objects as fire, I is an external object in one way, because if you think about it, we have to draw the line somewhere. That's why we say I is internal and the object is external. But if you think about it more deeply, I is also external, because I is a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi, which is external or which came from the environment, which belongs to the environment. It does not belong to us. We are the ones who delusionally think that this I belong to us. The Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi, which created this I, came from the external world and will be going back to the external world, and it does not say that it belongs to us. So in that sense, you can draw the line further. Now, if we draw the line here at the place where organ systems are divided, that means as external and internal, then you say that I is internal and image is external. This is for explaining purposes. Otherwise, we would not be able to talk. But if you go further, you can draw the line further back. So when that is done, I is also becoming external. So I is also something that we can think of because our mind is working. Because of Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. Otherwise, we would not be able to think of an I. We don't know whether we have an I. When we die, that dead body does not know. That dead I does not know that it exists. The feeling of existence is through consciousness. So if you draw the line there, then I also becomes external. So if you remove the line, then you would understand that there's nothing suitable in this world to call me, mine, or my soul. That is when you have understood it to the extreme end. So now for Animitta Samadhi, we draw the line where your body is also seen as external. So body is external and the image is external because you have the object. When you think about your eye, think about your ear, nose, tongue, body. When you are thinking, that is a thought which is coming from the external world. That thought, when it is attached to the mind, you're thinking, again, that is a nimitta. Using you can think and you can do anything only by using these nimitta objects. Otherwise, there would be no consciousness forming. So, this nimitta, when it becomes animitta, the value becomes zero to these external objects. And you're not going after that. With the understanding, with the wisdom, you are doing that. Because if you do it without wisdom, you'd end up asanya. That is eliminating all the inputs forcefully, not taking it in. Images, no, I would not take any images in. Sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts, you'd act in the same way. You would not want anything in. You'd rather reject them. And you would like that rejection. And you would attach to that rejection. And you would attach to that state where you reject everything. And that is asanya. And you would be born because attachment is tanha. Tanha pacha upadana. Upadana pacha bhava. Bhava pacha jati. So you would be born as a asanya Brahma with a body that lasts for 500 eons, and without a mind but a body which is maintained by karmic energy. The mind or the Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana is dormant and suppressed by this karmic energy again. So that is not what we are saying. That is not Animitta Samadhi. Animitta Samadhi comes when you understand about anicca. You have this broad understanding that this world is full of vexatious nature. There's nothing to go and look for. There's no important object that worth looking for. That would be the idea. So when you start meditating, this would be the ultimate idea that you would get. So you close your eyes. Why? Not because you are rejecting all the images, but because you have the broad understanding that there's nothing to look for in this pointless worldly journey. So I have been turning my head, looking here and there, looking for good things, good images, beautiful ones, blissful ones. But when I really think about it, there's nothing that important. So I close my eyes. So that is the reason why you close your eyes. If something comes, you're not agitated, but when things are not coming, you are not vexatious. So both are not there. So if you contrast it with this asanja, that when the images are coming despite your wish, you become angry, you become agitated, you become confused because you don't like to see images. Now, you are not attached to any of the ends. You're not saying that you like it or you don't like it. You're seeing the reality, and that reality actually brings you to a neutral state where you are not seeking and not rejecting. That is the meditation. That is Animitta meditation. So it happens with the sounds as well. So now you are meditating and there are a lot of sounds in the outside world. And you are not agitated. You're not saying, why are these people, why are these neighbors putting this music so loudly? I can't meditate. That is not the R way. Your ear, sound waves comes to your eardrum, comes to your ear, and you can hear everything. But your mind is not looking for it. It is like when you are sitting. Now, at this moment, think about the posture you are having. Maybe you are seated on a chair. So all this time, you can feel that your bottom is on a flat surface or a cushion or something. And when you think about it, when you focus on it, you can very well feel that your legs, the soles are on the floor, or the foot is on the floor. You can feel that your bottom is on the chair or a cushion or whatever it is. You can feel it now when you focus it. But that was there through all this time. From the time we started this discussion, that was there. So you are not bothered by it. You are just focusing on this discussion. Just like that, the sound becomes a neutral state. Sound will be a neutral thing to you. You do not get agitated that there are a lot of sound outside. Just like you are sitting on a chair and that touch was there all along. You would be hearing things, but since you know that there's nothing important, your mind is not running after those sounds, because you have this broad understanding that these external objects are vexatious. not worthwhile going after. So if you have that understanding, then your eye is also in Animitta Samadhi. Your ears are also in Animitta Samadhi. It's the same for smells. Now you are not going after looking for any smells. You're not sniffing anywhere. You're not looking for any smells. There's nothing important, that much important, that would make you immortal or make that would gain you at Nibbana. That would make you attain Nibbana. Instead, what it would do is actually it would create a vexatious mindset that would make you go after those smells, images, states, whatever it is. Your mind would be vexatious and you would be wanting to go after these things, go after these pleasures, and that would be vexatious. That's why we call it has the vexatious quality in them. If you started thinking in a avijja manner, then that vexatious nature would start to pop up. Just like everything is on fire, but you would feel that fire only if you touch the fire. So when you know that, you know that you get into this broad understanding that I should not touch this fire. I should avoid touching this fire. And that is what you do in Animitta Samadhi. So it's the same for taste as well. You know that there's nothing important, that tasteful, that you would continue on this sansaric journey where you become old, ill, and get subjected to various hardships. People can kill you, hurt you, cut your legs, cut your arms, anything can happen, and people can blame you, and you'd have to work so much to earn, to quench your thirst, and to treat your hunger, and you have various responsibilities and duties, and if you do bad things, you are not free from hell, you are not free from preta, asura, or animal world. So everything is there, and the trap is this blissful taste. So if you are thinking of this is how your mind would work when you are in the vipassana meditation. Am I willing to go after this blissfulness? Which is delusional anyway. Am I willing to go after this blissfulness, risking or acknowledging all those sufferings? So you are signing your sansaric, or we can say you are signing this agreement with the world that you are willing to suffer the things which I mentioned before, but I want to still enjoy blissful taste. And mind you, that taste itself is the cause for this sansaric journey, going after this. So you have to weigh and balance and think. Is a delusional blissfulness important more than your life, more than ending this suffering? So you are willing to suffer, but you are willing to suffer, and suffering is less, but the blissfulness of taste is much more. So you are willing to do that. Okay, I'll even die. It's okay. Still, I want to drink this poisonous alcohol. That is what we say when we think like that. I want to become dope. I want to become high. I want to have a good time. I know this alcohol has poison in it. I will die, but I don't care. I want to drink this. That is what normal individuals, lay people would say. That is a perfect example. So again, when you have this broad understanding, you would understand no taste, no deliciousness in this entire world worth that much suffering, that much trouble. So is there anything to look for? Nothing. So your mind would not go after that, go after those tastes as well. And again, that is the same for touches. So there are various blissful touches, blissful sensations. And you would not go, you would say, you would weigh and think rationally, think with wisdom, whether it is worth going after these sensations, touches, and having so much suffering as a side effect. So when you have that mindset, you are not seeking, going after these touches as well. Now, the only thing is the mind, which is very hard to tame. It goes here and there. It is very, very sneaky. It is very tricky and very fine. Cannot catch it. It is not rough. It is not coarse, but fine. So it slips from your hands and just go here and there. And that is what, when you have to apply this to the mind as well, then the Animitta Samadhi working. You can say that it is working. You have to apply it to all the 6 organs. So now, what about the mind? So in the mind also, do you think that there are important things? Now, important thoughts, important ideologies, or whatever it is, when compared to Nibbana? Nothing. If there was, then instead of Nibbana, we would be thinking of that item, which is very valuable, and be thinking about that blissful item for the rest of the samsara. But there's nothing like that. Even the neva sanya, na sanya, yatana is not a place like Nibbana. You can't say it's a place, but for the explanation's sake, we would say like that. So that now these thoughts, you cannot straight away get out of these thoughts. So what you do is you replace it with something better. So you replace kama sankappana, vyapada sankappana, and vihinsa sankappana with avyapada, avihinsa, and nikkama sankappana. So that is amma sankappa. You're changing the subject. That is called savitakka, savichara, priti, sukha, ekagrata, and that is the prathama jhana. So now this is how you achieve the first jhana with Animitta Samadhi. And after some time, what happens? This mind becomes very still. And your mind only now acts within a frame. And that frame is Nekama Sankappana, Vinsa Sankappana, and Avyapa Sankappana. That is the Savitakka and Savichara. So it becomes Avithakkang, Avicharang, Samajidam, Pritisukang, Tatyajjanang, Dutiyajjanang, Upasampajya Viharati. So it goes into the second jhana, where you get into the Arya Tunhi Bhavena. If you know the Arya Tunhi Bhavena, that means your mind is not thinking out loud in your head. So you know that your mind talks inside your head, in your body. You feel like your mind is talking to yourself, but your mouth is not moving, but you can think, and this whole conversation can be created in your mind without spitting any words out. So that is vitakka vichara. When it is about nekkhamma sankalpana, vyapa sankalpana, vihinsa sankalpana, that is called savitakka savichara. But when that is gone, when that does not occur, that means your mind becomes still in a way. It is not the full stillness. It still have a little bit of waviness, or we can say restlessness inside. But that is, most of that part is gone. You can feel a very, very resting experience. So that is called avitakkang avicharang samadhidam prijisukang dutiyajjanang upasampajya virati. So that is when you have understood there's nothing to go after in this world. Nothing to means no thoughts are that blissful. Think of. There are no such blissful thought to think of in this world. So you are developing the Samadhi Sambojjhanga, Upekha Sambojjhanga, and Passaddhi Sambojjhanga. You are developing these three at that point. And now you are developing the Animitta Samadhi. So now this is for a person who understands, who has a preference for anicca, who has a strong Saddha Indri. But if the person is a Viryatika or a Prajnatika, those two individuals have two different Samadhi, but doing the same thing. So instead of Animitta Samadhi, a person who is Viryadika, who sees the Dukkha Lakshana more, would develop a Samadhi called Appanihita Samadhi. So that is a different kind of Samadhi, but with the same result. Sunyata Vimoksha, Appanihita Vimoksha, and Animitta Vimoksha. Vimoksha is Nibbana. So this is a way to develop this Samadhi which would give the end result of Nibbana. So what is the second one, which is Appanihita Samadhi? Panihita, and the Sinhala word, or I don't know whether it's the Sanskrit word, which is Pranita. Pranita means blissful. Appanihita means no blissfulness. Because in Dukkha Lakshana, you are focusing on suffering. You see the suffering nature. Not the vexation is also suffering. That's why these three are entangled together. One explains the other two. And the other one explains the other two characteristics. So these are all together. It's the same. These are three sides of a same apple. Something like that. It's the same apple, but you are looking at the apple from three different sides. So you cannot say that it's the same, but it's the same. That can be an example to or an analogy to explain that. So Appanihita means there's no blissfulness, because a person with Virya Indriya would be focusing on the Dukkha, which is the anicca nature, sankhara dukkha, which is the dukkha nature itself, and the viparinama dukkha. So these three would be focused by that person. So he sees that this world is devoid of blissfulness. The only blissfulness that I can achieve is by attaining Nibbana. So because of that, so his journey, what he did in this life was to go after blissful things. Blissful images were his target. Blissful sounds were his target. Blissful smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts were his target. And he was pursuing after these blissful things, thinking that they are blissful. Then, if you contrast it with the other Animitta Samadhi, they wanted to quench their vex. They are not thinking about the vexation. Instead, they are thinking about the external satisfaction or the external blissfulness. There's a slight difference. This is how people think. Based on how people think, they are categorized into these three categories. So they go after blissfulness. And when the blissfulness is gone, when he or she understands about the reality, that this is full of sankhara dukkha, dukkha dukkha, and viparinama dukkha, that means you are actually seeking not a blissfulness but a suffering, then that appanihita vimoksha or the samadhi would hit you. Now you are starting to develop the appanihita samadhi. Now when the mind starts to go after images which are blissful, that you think that are blissful, the thing is, the reason why that person is going after images is because that person thinks that those images are blissful. When that reason is gone, when the causes are gone, the effect would not occur. So you attack the cause, which is the thought that occurs in your mind that these items are blissful. You think rationally with wisdom, and you are to realize that these are not blissful. Instead, it is full of suffering. So when that is understood, you focus on the dukkha, viparinama dukkha, and sankhara dukkha, especially the sankhara dukkha. Why am I going to do sankhara when I can be perfectly blissful without any sankhara? That is Nibbana. Sabba sankhara samato. Sabbhupadipati nissaggo. So you're not going to attach the upadana nature, clinging nature. If you get rid of that clinging nature, if you are not creating any sankhara, how blissful that would be. And you are seeing the blissfulness of emptiness. So that person would not want to move his head, move his eyeballs in order to see something useless, because that movement itself is a suffering. That person would not want that to happen. Because why am I doing something suffering, something non-beneficial? If you are asked to just walk, you are asked to walk, and you ask why. No, just walk. There's no reason. And you would not want to do that, because walking is a tiring experience. Walking is tiring. let's say you are asked to climb a mountain, you would not want to do that because it's tiring and there's no purpose, that there's nothing to achieve through that, because this person is just asking me to climb it and he's not giving me a good reason. Exact same thing would happen in the mind of a person who sees the world as appanihita. So I am going to move my head, my eyeballs for nothing. Why am I doing that? Because I am just used to doing that in the samsaric journey. But I know better now. I have a better understanding now. So I don't want to do that. Now you are disciplining your ear based on, disciplining your eyes based on the great understanding you have. And it's the same for the ears. So in using ears, someone would be looking for blissful sounds. And you are actually looking. You are buying these new albums, let's say song albums, and you are buying various subwoofer sets and new headphones, which has a good sound quality. And for that you have to earn, you have to have more money, and you are doing everything possible. Why? You are working so hard. You are earning more money. Why? Because you think that there are important, valuable, blissful sounds in the external world. So we are attacking that part, the cause. When we attack the cause, we see that there's nothing blissful in that nature that we thought of. So you would see the burden, especially you would focus on sankhara dukkha. You would see the vexatious, which is dukkha dukkha, as well as the viparinama dukkha. And that also would intensify, or that would also help strengthen your case, strengthen your point or conclusion. And you would think, why am I working so much? Why am I doing so much? Why am I earning so much? Why am I buying things? Why am I thinking also is a sankhara. Why am I thinking of these useless things? That is also a way. It is also a tiring element or tiring activity. So you would straight away get rid of all these things. And that is appanihita. That is the same for smells, tastes. You know the pattern now. Touches as well as thoughts. You're not stopping the thoughts, creation of thoughts, because it's vexatious. You're doing it because you have seen it is useless, and you are focusing that creation itself is painful and creation itself is suffering. The activity itself is suffering. Why am I creating a suffering activity when I can be perfectly free and be blissful? That is Nibbana. I am actually jeopardizing, or I am actually destroying my Nibbana to go after something useless. How can that be blissful? Blissfulness is right here. When there's Sabbha Sankhara Samatha, when there's Sabbu Padipati Nissagga, where there's no clinging, when there's Tanhaka, there's no attachments, when there's Viraga, when there's no wandering, because you are settled, when there's no Nirodha, or when the Nirodha has occurred, which is not occurring, or not creating, is Nirodha. And that is the Nibbana, Nibbananti, nobody. We can say non-attachment or non-bonding nature. That is seen as blissful. Etang santang, etang panitang. Now, what we are seeing as apanihita is the word, but we see the Nibbana as panihita, which is the correct way to do the meditation. This is a meditation. Now, is this a meditation that we do seated in only in a confined or a seat or in a still posture where your back is straight and legs are crossed? No, you can start doing it in different levels. Of course, when you go into deeper and go into more depth, this meditation posture is helpful and you would be using it more and more. But it doesn't say that you cannot practice it in other times of the day when you are doing your daily kayas, daily things, daily activities. So you have to include that part as well, otherwise the meditation is not complete. If you do it only seated, only in your meditation seat with arms in your lap and legs crossed with a straight back, if that's what you do and you neglect the other times of the day, which can be on more than, it can be 22 or 23 hours of the day, or maybe 20 hours. So you can do that. You have to do this meditation all the time based on what activity you are doing. You can change the way you approach. And that is Animitta Samadhi. And the third one, which is mostly focused by people who understand anatta the most. Now, it doesn't say that you have to stick on to one thing and you cannot practice the other. You can just experiment. And from time to time, it changes sometimes. Sometimes you feel like it's Animitta. Sometimes Apanihita works better. And so in some instances, Animitta works better. It all three gives the same result. So it does not matter which you do. Don't have to stick on to one single thing. You can change depending on what works at what time. So that's the experiment. That is called Chintame Panya. So when you experiment and when you do it more and more, the ability to tackle this avijja starts to develop. You know exactly what to do. If it is a raga chitta, you know exactly what to do. But at the beginning, you are clueless. You know that the world is anicca dukkha anatta, but a raga chitta comes and you are suffering because of it. This raga chitta makes you suffer, and you don't have a clue what to do. You try to you try to think about anicca dukkha anatta, but it does not work because the nivarana, the covering, has already occurred, and the cover is very thick and heavy. It cannot be removed with a little bit of anicca dukkha anatta. But it has to be strong. It has to develop. That's why more and more practice makes you a better person who can, if you have a strong vipassana jnana. So the third one, which is Animitta, which is Sunyata. Sunyata itself, the translation is empty. Sunyata, empty. Emptiness. Why do we call it empty? Because everything ends up in jara marana, viparinama nature. So because of viparinama, we cannot have something at least a second or a flick of a second. When you say it is mine, let's say my car. You buy a house, you say it my house. But we know from the example of the oil lamp, you cannot say that the oil in the oil lamp, the flame, we took the flame and we discussed how the flame changes, and you have to see it with wisdom. Flame does not last even 1 second. When you say the word flame, many millions of flames have been created. So what are you going to call the flame? It's the same for everything in this world, living and non-living. So it's the same for your house, your parents, children, spouses, car and property, and everything. Your body, your own body, your own mind. The mind also. This mind is different from the mind that occurs just in a flick of a second. It changes. So you feel very empty. How am I going to decide? How am I going to make decisions? On what am I going to make decisions? Because if I make a decision, that is based on what is right now. But I am not sure about the next second. I can die. The other person can die. This house can collapse. This car can get crashed. And this whole thing can, the whole country can get destroyed. Maybe with a tsunami, maybe with an earthquake. Whatever can happen. So how am I going to decide? This is very empty. What am I doing is empty. And that is anatta. And based on that, you would apply that to the 6 senses, just like we did for the other 2. So for images, what image are you looking for? That image has gone a long time ago. Jara Marana has ended that image, but you are still looking. What empty thing am I doing? Would be the mindset developed by that person. That is Sunyata Samadhi. It's the same for the sounds as well. So I am talking right now. So the sound waves that are coming from the speakers of your devices, as soon as that vibration is created, it ends up in Jara Marana. Otherwise, we would not be able to have this discussion. But if someone is thinking that kind of a sound wave, a vibration is valuable, and go after those vibrations, thinking that it is something exists, it has already gone. You are going after something already dead. And that is very empty. And the person would understand this and stop going after these things. Again, the mind would start to become, would be entering into a samadhi. And that is called Shunyata Samadhi. Again, it's the same for smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts. This is the Shunyata Samadhi. And these are all the samadhis, 3 samadhis that would bring you to the Nibbana. That would make you attain Nibbana. So, I hope that is clear. These are with this explanation, all the questions that you have been posted are answered. If you have any other questions regarding this or any other thing, it is, if you can post that into the chat box, we can have a discussion.
Thank you very much, Thero, for the clarification. I think we have received a few questions as the explanation was ongoing. Are you able to see it, Thero? Or?
Yes, okay, I'll read it. All inputs via 6 doors are Nimitta. And Namarupa is arising based on the Nimitta. So Namarupa is not a Nimitta. Yes, the word Nimitta is actually, we use it to explain the external object. Namarupa is actually created based on this Nimitta. Nimitti is the plural, Nimitta is the singular word. So based on this Nimitti, Namarupa are created. And I said Namarupa, word Namarupa has a lot of meanings. So if you go in depth, again, this statement can be false. But according to what we discussed, it becomes true. But if you go in depth, Namarupa has, again, different explanations. So the word is Nama and the object is Rupa. In that sense, Nimitta and Namarupa are the same thing. So that's why this is very different from the, what you call the Western education system. In Western education system, what we do is we try to confine. We try to have always a precise definition for everything. You want to separate one from another with a definition, with a very sharp margin. We are trying to have sharp margins. We are trying to classify. We are trying to get rid of all the confusion, because it is a lay science or a lay subject. It is based on logic and based on experiments and observations and conclusions. But when it comes to prajna and when it comes to wisdom, that is very different. Wisdom is very flexible. The decisions of wisdom is flexible, and it is based on the person's view. I mean, person's understanding. One is person's, the differentiation of indriya, strengths of the indriya of that person would decide how he sees this world according to anicca dukkha anatta. The formal or the basic structure is the same. That is not going to change. Anicca dukkha anatta would be the same for everybody. The Chattari Arya Satchani, or the Four Noble Truths, would be the same for everybody. Arya Atangika Magga would be the same for everybody. But when you practically applying it, the explanations that comes to different people, or you can say derivatives of the basic understanding based on the life experiences of that specific individual, is going to be different from one another. And you cannot compare and come to the same page sometimes. There's this sutta in that 4 Sotapanna monks arguing with each other, saying that my understanding is correct and yours is not. And at last they could not come to a conclusion, and they had to meet Supreme Buddha. And they explained the case, and after that, Supreme Buddha gives this example and explains that it's the same thing you are referring to. He said, there's a tree called Kala, and in this tree, one instance, there are flowers, and the tree becomes yellow in color because of the flowers. And in one instance, it is green in color because of only the leaves. And likewise, this changes depending on the time of the year. Let's say one person sees the green tree, one person sees the yellow tree, and one person has seen the fruit of that tree, and one person has seen the bark of that tree. And they are arguing, saying, no, the tree is yellow. The other one is saying, no, tree is green. The other one is saying, no, this is the shape of that. And he is referring to the nut or the fruit of that tree. And the other one is referring to the bark. And when they go and ask from the Supreme Buddha, he says it's the same thing you are referring to, but you have seen different parts of the same tree. So it's the same thing. You all have the understanding in different ways. So it's like that. Cannot come to conclusions, and you cannot confine this saying that it is this only. When the wisdom develops, you would start to see in different patterns. That is the amazing feature of Supreme Dhamma. That's why they do not teach in colleges, they do not teach in universities, but they can do marvelous things. I'm referring to Arihats. The Chullapantaka Thero could not even remember even 4 verses of a stanza, 4 stanzas of a Gatha. So he could not. But with a small trick, with a small vipassana, he became an Arihat, and he did not go to college or did not learn from somebody to do those supernatural things. He created 1,000 Chullapantaka Theros with this Abhijñāpadaka Chatutta Dhyana. So these 1,000 were doing various kinds of things. And when the servant comes and asks, who is Chullapantaka? Everybody says they are Chullapantaka. And if you have heard about this story, then he was summoned by Supreme Buddha to the house where the alms giving was happening, and he was asked to do the Punyanumodana. And he did that with thousands of gathas. The one who could not even remember one gatha a while ago could do 1,000. That is the nature of this wisdom. That is the nature of this Dhamma. So you cannot confine. You can have an open mind, but always when somebody has awakened the wisdom or awakened the eyes of wisdom, they are able to read this with their own view, but it should always fit into the core concepts. If that violates the core concepts, then you have not understood it correctly. It should meet the core concepts, and you'd feel it. You feel that this is correct. This understanding what I am getting right now after reading this, or after thinking about this, after doing vipassana, is correct, and you would feel it. And when you compare it with Dhamma, the Vinaya, and the this sutta, which is the Dhamma is the, we have discussed this. Dhamma is the Paticca Sutta is the Four Noble Truths, and the Vinaya is the Raga Vinaya, Dosa Vinaya, and Moha Vinaya. If somebody does not understand real Dhamma, they would not be able to focus on Dhamma, or the other one is Sutta, because if you don't know about the Four Noble Truths, how can you apply something to it and see whether it is right? If you don't know about Paticca, you will not be able to apply something into Paticca and see whether it's right. But you always can apply to Raga Vinaya, Dosa Vinaya, Moha Vinaya. When you know what is Raga, when you know what is Dosa and what is Moha, you can apply it and see whether it increases Raga, Dosa, Moha or decreases Raga, Dosa, Moha. And if it decreases Raga, Dosa, Moha, you can use that, because Raga Kyo Nibbana, Desa Kyo Nibbana, Moha Kyo Nibbana. That is the end result. So, when you have an understanding about Dhamma and Sutta, then you can apply that to that and see. When you have a good understanding about those three things, something that is being derived from your thinking or vipassana would not contradict these core concepts. Chintame Panya would develop, and this Chintame Panya would derive something that falls into the Dhamma and not against Dhamma. So that is what you have to understand. So Nama Rupa has very big explanation. So I think you understand that. But Nimitta does not have that kind of explanation. So that's why I explain Nimitta and not Nama Rupa. So now Nimitta means it has a very simple explanation, which is the external object. And this Nama Rupa can be the Nimitta at some points and cannot be the Nimitta at other points, because depending on the explanation you get for Nama Rupa, it differs. And the next question, I think there's the following answer for that. Yes, I agree with that. I think wisdom always gets into view with various perspectives and angles of the object, but average people tend to stick to the certain private angle, what they think right of their logic. So we Buddhists have to pursue wisdom rather than logic. Yes, I think if you stick on to a framework, you would not be able to think beyond that framework. You should have a framework, the basic framework, but you should not confine everything into a framework. Because if you confine everything into a framework, your mind would not develop beyond that. And you would need somebody to tell everything, that this falls here and that falls there. You cannot go beyond this mark. You cannot go beyond that mark. And that is the nature of it. And that is how science is. You have to refer. You have to meet experts. You have to learn from page 1 to the end of the book. Otherwise, you would not be able to know. And what you think might not be correct. But here what we have is it is a very simple framework that is being given. And when you apply it, it is like math. Now math and this Dhamma has a similarity in that sense. In math, you are asked to add or subtract, multiply, divide. These are the 4 basic things. And based on these 4 basic things, you can do many things, many complex equations, and many complex calculations can be done based on 4 simple methods. And you have to always stick to the principles. You have to stick to the basics of addition, basics of subtraction, but the result but the things that you can do with it is different. It has a very vast range. So if somebody asks 1 plus 1 is 2, so what is 1 plus 3? And that is 4. And they learned these two things, and they were asked to do 5 plus 1. And since that is a kind of a ability that you develop, you can do that without having solved that before. You would say 6. And how do you know? Have you read it in a book? And you would say, no, I have not read that in a book, or I have not by-hearted it. I know it because I know the theory. I have the understanding now how to do this. Now similar quality is there in Buddhism, in the teachings of Buddhism. You just have to know the basics, and depending on the basics, you can develop. Based on the basics, you can develop. That's why when you have opened the eyes of wisdom, you become free from any other person's help. You can, on your own, complete your journey until Nibbana, until you attain Arihathood. So that is the nature. I think that's clear. If that is not, let me know. So, Animitta Samadhi can be practiced by Arya who understands Lakkhana, considering our body is not mind, self, value. Yes, now without Tilakkana or without Anicca Dukkha, you cannot practice Anicca, Animitta, any of these. You have to have the understanding of Anicca Dukkha. If you have the understanding, even if you know these words or not, you would bring these things. Now, since in the Supreme Buddha's time, they did not give, they did not say, or they did not have that this much of technology or this much of communication technologies where everything is learned by everyone. The first council was done after Supreme Buddha's passing away. So only few things were known by monks. Even Arihats knew only few things. The Sivpidisimbia, Artha Dhamma Nirukti Patibhana, the Arihat Theros with those wisdoms had an understanding of basic Dhamma and knew how to explain, and very few of them could do more than that, explain very well, but a lot of them only knew a very small thing or two. They knew how they have completed the Arya pathway. Then because of that, they could guide another person, nature, to a complete Arya. They could do that, but they did not have these words. So they knew Anicca Dukkha Anatta, of course, otherwise they would not be able to complete their Arya journeys. So they explained the Anicca Dukkha Anatta, and they explained how to do the rest of the pathway with their experience. They said that you have to do this, you have to do this, do like this and do like that, and you have to avoid this and that. And if somebody asks, what is Animitta Samadhi? I have no idea, but you can ask from Supreme Buddha. He is here, or he is there in that monastery. You can go and ask. Or you can ask from Sariputta Thero. Because you can ask from Ananda Thero. Because I don't know this word. Maybe this is that, but confirm it with him. I think this is that. Standing based on the word, I think this means that. This is the meaning of this word, but I am not quite sure. Go and ask. That would be something given. That would be something
Thero, the line is breaking up.
Not have this much of understanding, this much of then to go up there, but it's raining. Maybe that might affect this signal strength.
Maybe there. Just the last.
Is it still problematic?
It's clear now.
Is it still
clear now, Thero? It's a little intermittent one that happened in the last few minutes.
Okay, I changed the place. Maybe now it is better because we have three signals.
Much better, Thero. What you maybe mentioned in the last minute, if you maybe could reconvey, might be helpful. But apart from that, it was okay.
Right. So I was telling that we don't have to have these words in our mind. We just have to know how to get rid of anicca dukkha anatta based on tilakkana or anicca dukkha, how to get rid of this raga dosa moha based on tilakkana, using tilakkana, which is anicca dukkha anatta. And when you do that, you would fall under one of these categories, because if you are a person who is who likes to see the world as anicca, then Animitta Samadhi would automatically come to you, whether you do like it or not. When the pathway is, when you are following the pathway, when you are doing what needs to be done, this Samadhi would start to appear gradually. And it's the same story for the other two as well. So it is, yes, I mean, this is right. So the Animitta Samadhi can be practiced by an Arya who understands Tilakkana. Can be, not can be, but only be practiced, can only be practiced by an Arya who understands Tilakkana. So, and...
Sir, there was another small clarification asking, saying, does Kamatahana also belong to Animitta?
Kamatahana is actually it is the basic understanding, one hand. So what is a Kamatahana? Kammatthana, we say. In a Kammatthana, anicca dukkha, the understanding of anicca dukkha anatta, and which is the adinava of this world, and the anisansa, or the benefit of nibbana, both are concised and compiled in few sentences or maybe few words. So, for example, etang santang etang panita yadidan sabba sankara samato sabupadi pati nisaggo tanhakkyo virago nirodho nibbananti is a Kamatahana. It's a Kamat that can be used as a Kamatahana. So that what is there. So now this is actually focusing on the better part, or the importance of Nibbana. But this, before that, you have to see the word is anicca dukkha anatta. So now if we are creating a new Kamatahana, it would be like this. The word is anicca dukkha anatta. There's nowhere to get attached on. So what is the solution? Then comes the Pali Gatha, which is etang santang etang panita. This is blissful. This is the only solution, which is etang yadidan sabba sankara samato. Now that would come after that. So there are two sides in a Kamatahana, which is the adinama of this world and the adinama of this world and anisansa of Nibbana. So which are the two sides? It's like the two sides of a coin. Both should be there. Otherwise, it is not a complete kamatthana. So the Animitta Samadhi is the result. Kamatthana is what we take or what we do to get that result. If you go through a analogy, it's something like this. You do something. Let's say you use the broom to sweep the floor, and broom is this kamatthana. After you sweep the floor, now you have a very clean floor. It is there are no any dust or anything. It is clean and nice. So the end result, which is the clean and nice flow, is the Animitta Samadhi. What you use to do that, which is the broom, in our case, the kamatthana, and that is compared to the kamatthana. So you use the broom to sweep the floor, just like that. You use the kamatthana to get this samadhi. So I hope that is clear.
Thero, maybe we can, I'm sure it is clear, but maybe we can just add in the fact that to the level that you cleaned you see, and more develops, you see more, maybe, because I'm just wondering whether it might, it would be good to maybe explain that a little bit, just a suggestion, Thero, for what you just mentioned.
Can you repeat it again?
Yeah, what I meant is, with the kamatthana, if you have the analogy of sweeping, and then the resultant is samadhi, so to that level of sweeping, you have that level of samadhi, but that level of samadhi shows more of the defilements, and you sweep again. Maybe good to explain that a little bit. Suggestion.
Yeah, if I modify this analogy, so you have, let's say, you have a sweep, you have a broom, and you have a mop and a vacuum cleaner as well with you. So these are three kamathanas. So initially, you take a basic kamatthana and you sweep the floor, and not all the dust is going to go with sweeping. So you sweep it again and again and again. So more you sweep, more dust would be going out and more cleaner it would be. The samadhi would be powerful and clean, and it would develop. So after that, you would feel that this kamatthana has done its course, done its thing, and now it's not going to do any more. So otherwise, one kamatthana is enough to attain nibbana as well. But for some individuals, you would feel that I have to change my kamatthana to better one, because now all the defilements that can be removed with that kamatthana has already gone. But I have very finer defilements which should be dealt with a different perspective, where you might be using another kamatthana. It is based on personal experience. Actually, we cannot say it whether one has only one needs only one kamatthana or would be using several of them. That is a personal choice and a personal thing based on individual experiences. So the second one, you would get the mop and mop the floor. Now the white mop would become brown because of all the dust. Now you could not get rid of those dust with the broom, but you could get rid of that with the mop, which is a different kamatthana. And when you do that, you do it several times, because doing it more and more would get rid of more and more dirt. So then maybe you would maybe start with the vacuum cleaner initially, because vacuum cleaner is to get rid of all the bigger parts, bigger dirt and bigger things. So I think you get the analogy now. So you using that analogy, you can understand that kamatthana is actually the the tool that we use to clean our minds, which can be dirty with defilements. I think that's clear.
Thank you very much, Thero. I think questions wise, that's all we have received.
Yeah.
So we invite, if you have any clarifications on what was discussed today or anything else, you could submit. Thero, if there's anything else you would like to add also, if not, after a while we can conclude with the Anumodana if so, but we can continue if there are questions.
Yeah. So I have a small thing or the announcement to make. Next week, I think is 4. So I've been going to the main temple, and so I think we would not be able to continue with the discussion on next Thursday, because I would be having I think the Dhamma discussion or something has been arranged there as well. So I think we would have to do it on 1st of February if we are doing it.
Sure, Thero. So I will coordinate accordingly. I'm also not available this Thursday, Thero. I'm also traveling to Anuradhapura for probably to the temple there. So
Okay.
we will then.
So since yeah.
Go ahead, Thero. Sorry.
So since we don't have any questions, we'll end up with the Anumodana then.
Sure. Then I respectfully invite Venerable Dhammadassi Thero to conduct a short Anumodana and conclude for the day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Today also we have discussed about Arya Dhamma and the questions you have when practicing Arya Dhamma. Very important topic of Vimoksha, the 3 types of Vimoksha, and these are very important in your Arya journey to because since we are not Uggatitanya or Vipatitanya, which are individuals with highest level of wisdom, so we need all the tools that we have. So these discussions would help everybody to fulfill or to complete your missing parts of the puzzle, and it would help you to develop and it would help you to practice your RA pathway more effectively and efficiently. So with this Dhamma discussion, with the Sankara, Kaya Sankara, Vachi Sankara and Mano Sankara you have been doing throughout this time, you have generated immeasurable amounts of merits, because thinking about anicca, thinking about metta, thinking about the reality of the world, thinking about the blissfulness of Nibbana, those are the highest kusala, the meritorious deeds that one can do, one can perform. So you have been doing that quite for some time. So the amount of meritorious power that has been generated with that is immeasurable. And with this immeasurable meritorious power, may everyone get the background, the perfect opportunity to understand and comprehend Arya Dhamma from a Kalyana Mitta. And may everybody be able to complete your Arya journeys and attain supreme bliss of Nibbana, ending this sansaric suffering. Accept this blessing with the sadhukar.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And in this special occasion, let us remind ourselves about all the help that we might have got during this sansaric journey, especially from our deceased relations and the people who helped us throughout this sansaric journey, parents, teachers, the ones who constructed our houses, homes, workplaces, roads. They are the ones who have helped us to have a decent living, and all the people who helped us have this great Dhamma discussion, the ones who are maintaining these temples, maintaining these devices, connections, and everything, ones who are behind the scene helping us, and also the ones who have been hurted by us during this samsaric journey due to our irrational, delusional ideologies, raga, dosa, and moha. We might have hurted many, and let us remind about them as well, and let us transfer, we are going to transfer this meritorious power to them as well. And also all the deities and Brahmas, and all the sentient beings living in this universe. Let us transfer this meritorious power to all of them, regardless of wherever they are in this universe. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from doing sins. May they replace those sinful acts with meritorious deeds, and may they lead happy lives, and may they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana, ending the sansaric suffering, and accept and send this meritorious power to them with the sadhukara by accepting this.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So we will be ending this discussion with a Pali Gatha, blessing everyone. Ayo Vanna Sapa Bala, which is the life, the freshness, comfort, and power, which are essential to complete your origin. Abhivadana siris nichang vaddhapachayino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukham balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samicchatu. May everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero, yet again for giving your valuable time to have this valuable Dhamma discussion, and also to all the participants for your questions, participation, as well as your patience in today's discussion. I will be uploading the audio file shortly. Thank you very much. Theruvan Saranai, Theruvan Saranai to all.
Theruvan Saranai.
Theruvan Saranai.
Everybody.